There you go.
What do you say, Court?
Oh, not much. I put my jury hat on this morning.
All right. How'd it go?
That was pretty quick, 2 hours.
Oh, really? Nice.
Small show, and we only did 2D.
Okay.
I can blame it all on Oscar.
Yeah, Oscar was too busy, didn't want to deal with that shows anymore. I said, you should ask Court.
They asked me to jury earlier, and I was busy, so I did this one.
So, Oscar, you said you applied to Fort Worth?
I used to do when I was studying, I applied to Boca, Fort Worth, I mean no to Fort Myers
Fort Myers, yeah.
and Mandora, all three shows because they usually go the same weekend.
Okay.
And I think next year I'm going to do Mandora is the weakest show for me out of the three. Um, so my choice has always been sales wise, it should be Boca, Fort Myers, Mandora. Um, for the nice thing about Fort Myers for me is that I can go back to the campground every night and sleep in my own bed
Oh, that's nice.
instead than anything else. But um, I didn't get in this year, and maybe it was a blessing because for what people are saying, um, you can tell that it was a new group of people running the show. So uh, people were saying that they never thought that we were missing Sharon so much. So that is can't tell you that much. So, but you know, every person has a different opinion about the whole situation.
Yep. Yeah, the woman who does Mount Dora did New Smyrna, and it was, I mean, load in and load out was really easy. Um, we had a really good spot. I was very pleased, and so they're going to try to expand it. They had one issue where the power company prohibited tents to be set up to block their parking lot because on Saturday they have customers coming in and out to pay their electrical bill. And so they had to do some scrambling. Some people some people were not happy about it. I can see why.
Okay, now I got it. This is what I remember from that show. You want to be in Fifth Avenue or the one that starts with a D?
Okay.
Uh, I don't. It will be say if you cannot get to those three with the D or Fifth Avenue, the next one will be Fourth Avenue. Everything else, um, just stay away from it. You don't get the you don't get the same traffic.
Okay. So that's Fifth Avenue and Donnelly.
Yeah,
Yep. Okay, Donnelly.
and those are your main two section, and then I would say Fourth Avenue. Basically, I think that the best area to be is between Fifth Avenue and Fourth Avenue and Donnelly.
Gotcha. Well, I'm going to ask to be put on Donnelly between fifth and fourth.
Yeah.
Good. Court, you've got how was the ask the jury last week? I missed it.
It was good.
I thought it was great, Court. I appreciated your time and all the answers.
Well, we try. I'm working on Ask a Director.
Oh, yeah.
So I have two for sure, and I think three for sure. And I'm still waiting to hear from one.
I wrote a bunch of notes and I thought one couple of the key points were that they didn't like overly sanitized photos. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And they also they want to see your actual tent, like just how you set up in the park. Like they weren't analyzing as much as we think they are, but they did say the boost shot will make it or break it. Like 25% of your score at least is the boost shot. And if you're on the wait list, it can make a difference when you turn in your application, but the boost shot can also make it or break it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean the boost shot, I wouldn't say it can make it or break it if you're close, okay? If it's
Right.
between you and another person, the boost shot can make a difference. If you're kind of on a bubble, or if you're a juror and you're looking at something and you're kind of torn between, um, you know, well, like this morning, I was on a jury and we scored 1 to 7, but no 4.
Got
So
it.
1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, they didn't get in. 5, 6, 7, they did. And you're sitting there, you're looking at something, and you're going, in or not. It's kind of a toss up. And then you look at the booth, and it's a really nice booth, and they get in. You look at it, and it's not a very nice booth, and no, they don't get in.
Right.
So it's kind of kind of makes a decision when something's close.
But also, I just want to add, like in your booth, let's say you're a ceramic part artist, and then in your booth shot, you've got, I don't know, ceramic pendants, hanging from somewhere, and it's like, well, you didn't apply with jewelry. And so the booth shot can be very telling as far as what you intend to show, which is why they want a real booth shot. And so many people say, no, no, they want the sanitized version. Well, we hear it all the time from directors that they want a real booth shot, cleaned up, but yeah.
It's also when I done the jury for the guild, at the booth, quite honest with you, before I look at the work, and if the if your booth looks like a holy mess, you get a 1 from me. I will not let you into my unit should not be there in the show. There should be some, and what I mean a holy mess is like you have things outside of your 10 by 10 space. You have if you're a photographer and you have 50 bends, that's also a red flag because there's no way you can going to keep all that inside your your booth space. And then after that, it's more like how you present yourself. And then you look at the work, but the the thing is like your work needs to look good, interesting, but most of the people, quite honest with you, even when I looking at the other shows, nobody's doing nothing that I go like wow, that's really impressive. Maybe because I see it before, maybe because I I'm exposed to all kind of artists, but you have to, and also depending what kind of level show you're doing, it might change how you score people. Like for Ann Arbor, we are really, really picky, and then for the other shows, we lower the standards a little bit.
Does it matter how many applicants you're told to look at? Like Cherry Creek, obviously at the top with 2,000 for 220 spots. I'm looking at Kansas City right now. They only have 1,000 applicants for 250 spots. And I just got an email back from the organizer today. I emailed her like a month ago, and she said, and so did the jury say, that if you apply in two categories, you have to have a booth of entirely that category and only that category, not both of your items in your booth
That's
shot.
more
Well, you would be
that's
need to
more than you
go ahead.
think. That's how it's supposed to be. It should be like if you apply in a category, your booth should look only with that category.
But
If you're a
then
painter, you can,
let's say you got in both categories, and I guess that's, maybe that would not happen. But if you got in both categories, then are you allowed to mix or do you have to order a
Yes.
double booth?
No, you can mix usually.
you can
If you
mix.
get in both categories, you can mix.
Okay.
I've
That's
seen
where I
people
was
who
confused.
I've seen people who get into both categories and they might have both wall pieces and more sculptural pieces. The work looks exactly like the same artist, and they just display the whole booth. Like it makes sense, right? All their wall pieces would be on a wall and all their sculpture would be in the rest of the booth. So it's just a very natural sort of, it could be a very natural kind of display.
And that's what I have. But sorry to dominate here, but I have one last question. So I have black pro panels that I'm showing in my booth, in both booths, whether it's my ceramic sculpture or my wall art, it's all black pro panels. Do I have to buy the black pro panel shelves? Because I have nice black shelves that I've made and painted, or is
No,
that a big no-no?
no, you find the main thing is, quite honest with you, nobody's going to be able to tell if you're using pro panels or the other brand or what canvas you have. Though what you want is, this is my personal opinion. I think when you go to the show, you want your booth need to look this almost the same as your booth slide, because some shows go around with a clipboard and an iPad and they try to match. They look at your booth and they look at your work and they try to match it.
Right,
I have, that's one. Then the thing that you have like if you have your shelf painted black, homemade, and your pro panels are black and they are functional, they look good, and you feel happy with them, and doesn't look like you walk into a flea market,
Right.
just use
right,
them. It's not not everybody can afford to spend the amount that you have to spend in pro panels. Right now, a pro panel, one pro panel, 9 feet tall, it's going to cost you over $200 if you
right.
buy
And
a
I
brand.
just bought all the pro panels, but to get all the shelves I needed, it was going to be another $1,600. And I just repainted the shelves I have. They look good in the photo, but they
Yep. So
definitely are not a pro panel, but they're the same color basically.
Look,
They're
if
yeah,
just
it
so
looks
fine.
good, I think a lot of it is common sense.
Yeah,
And hopefully nobody even notices your display and they notice the work. I think that's part of the
right,
point, right?
right.
I mean, as long as they're well done and go with your work and go with your overall booth design, you're fine.
Yeah.
Exactly.
and and I'm to the point I need to buy maybe two more standards. And I was looking at my walls, and I'm going like at some of the walls that showing the age, and I'm going like, God, I just don't want to spend the money. Uh,
Right.
so I don't know if I'm going to just order new covers, take the time taking the old covers out and put new covers in the panels, because that's the cheapest way to do it. Also,
Yeah.
another thing that when you start talking about black panels, I was somebody told me that if I use black panels, my work would pop up more. And the- I don't. I decided to use the Mombi long time ago because of one simple reason. Nobody paints their houses black, and if your work looks good in that panel, it's going to look most likely good in the house of the person. Uh, Second, at all, when you use dark colors, it makes the booth look smaller. Actually, that's why you don't paint more rooms with dark colors because it makes the room smaller, not bigger. And you don't want to make the place look more claustrophobic. Also, it's
And
a personal choice.
Oscar, I agree with that, but here's the thing.
Mhm.
I've been an interior designer for years, and I've even had people tell me to paint a powder room. Like, this is the smallest bathroom in the house. It's actually the smallest room in the house. And they want the powder room painted black. And I had this one lady, I painted it black. And then she had me chalk, because I'm an artist, and chalk a tree all the way up to the ceiling. So the ceiling's painted black, the walls are black. And this white chalk tree was just absolutely amazing. So you walk in there, you're in this intimate space, and this white tree branch, the whole tree, the birds, the leaves, everything is chalked on the wall. And it was just an amazing experience. And she moved and she made me do it again on another bathroom for her because she loved the idea. But I did my booth black because my work is predominantly white and it just jumps off the walls. I mean, it's not white, all white, but there's a lot of white in it. And
Mhm.
I frame it in a black frame. It's all framed. And then when a customer comes through, I say, this will jump out on a dark wall, but it's in a black frame, so it'll definitely show on your light walls, so it really doesn't matter. Like, it gives me a conversation point.
Mhm.
So
But
I don't know if I would throw out the idea of black panels just because people's walls are black. I mean, I don't know. I don't mean to
I I
disagree,
I
but
I just telling you that that's prefer when I finished, I said that's the preference choice. My choice is not to use black panels.
yeah,
I
I
don't
get
think
Right.
it.
To each their own, really. I mean,
Right, right,
and
right.
We have black panels, and it's funny because we had light gray panels, and when we did Port Clinton 2 years ago, 3 years ago, there was a woman from Canada who's been doing a show basically for 20 years or so. She she had black panels, and her work looked really interesting on it, and it made a pop. And I took one of Mary Ann's paintings and held it up on that black panel, and boy, it popped. And of course, we have lights, so when her art is hung and I light everything up, it really it her work it just pops on that black panel. And so we went ahead and we I don't know. It's interesting because I wanted to order three more panels after the fact, and the cost of shipping three panels would is the same cost if they ship nine.
Wow.
Practically, it's the same shipment. Basically, it might be $100 more to ship nine panels, but it's the same cost basically to ship one panel as it is to ship a half dozen or something. But I'm very happy with the black panels, and we were using the hooker hooks and the Velcro hooks, and then of course they're pulling on the carpet, and so then we got cable. I was able to find a bunch of pro panel cables um, through Artist Garage, and that's what we use now.
I didn't know
so,
those are expensive. They're like 18 bucks a piece,
They are
right?
expensive.
you mute a court.
so Roy, about how much lighting are you using?
Say again.
About how much lighting are you using? Out of
So
curiosity.
Yep. So I'm using their 7-watt bulbs, and I've got three
Mhm.
tracks.
Okay.
And so what I did is I created and made a PVC piping where
Hmm.
it comes off of the side rails, it goes up about 12 inches, and then comes across. So I attach the tracks to those rails, and
Hmm.
then so usually I'll break the tent up into thirds. So I'll
Right.
do a 6-foot track in the back. I'll do an 8-foot track in the middle,
Mhm.
and then another 6-foot track in the front. And I'm using probably anywhere between 10 to 15 lights.
And so that would be horizontally across your booth if you're looking at it from the front.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And because it's pushed up, it gives me a little bit when I use the lighting. Um, so what I'll do is if I have like a 4x5 on the back wall, I'll use 3 lights. I'll do 3 lights for that one, and
Hmm.
then and I usually I'll try to utilize the middle track to get a little bit wider spread of that light to really get that image, that painting
Hmm.
lit. And
And are you using floods primarily or spots?
so they're spots, but they have a I think it's a 40-degree spread. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I picked them up, so and they are LEDs, um,
Right.
and I picked them up from 1,000 bulbs, and
Okay.
so I bought 20 lights and the 3 tracks, and um, so yeah, they it gives me a good spread.
That's
Um,
great because spots often sometimes are almost too directed.
right.
So it's great that you have that. I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, and I like the fact that, and like you said, because I don't want to oversaturate I don't want to, blind, I don't want to
Hmm.
overlight the
Right.
painting. That's why I'll back off onto the middle track, which is 8 foot, and I'll kind of use that for that back wall, and
Hmm.
it really looks nice. I don't know if I have a photo of it. Um, I might have a photo. I don't know.
I mean, jewelry is different anyway.
Yeah,
But I
you
was
got,
just curious.
yeah, but and then I've got two. So I'm using a EcoFlow. It's an older battery. It's the River Pro,
Hmm.
and then it comes with an additional battery. So I'll run the first battery, and that'll give me about 6, 7 hours. So when I'm running 10 lights, it's 70 watts. So if
Hmm.
I'm running, I'm running about 100 watts of power. Um, and then when that battery drains, I'll connect the second battery, and
Uh,
that'll give me another 5, 6 hours.
got it. Got it. Yeah, I have electricity at this upcoming show, and I was thinking it's a really dated thing to now say, well, how many watts are we allowed when we buy electricity? Usually you get like 500 watts or something, but I don't think it matters now because it's all LEDs.
Yeah.
Well, it does if you're running other things.
Well, so like a show, when you're getting electricity from a show, there's a lot of other things being run, right? So, but now that I think about it, I don't recall that there's a specific amount of wattage.
There usually is. The shows on
Mhm.
typically, if the show's providing electricity, they typically give you some kind of rough idea how much.
I think
Mhm.
it never goes above 500. That's the highest I ever seen, and I never
But
see it
yeah,
going than 200.
but 500, like if it's LEDs, then it really, I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm not going to be running 500 because it is LEDs. So I
Right,
pretty
but
much
that's your lights. You may be running other things as well, like fans.
right, right, right. No, I get that.
Hey,
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
I just sent you a photo of my booth, and it shows my track lighting. Would you show everybody that, if you don't mind?
How do I show that?
Um,
You
oh, I
messaged
don't know.
me. That has nothing.
Oh,
Did you
that's right.
share it?
Well, let me see if I can share it.
Well,
You
I
can't,
have to
you
let
can't
you
unless
share.
you're right. You'd have to be a co-host or something to
Oh,
share.
that's right. Yeah. Oh, I'll email it to you then.
Well,
You might be able to put it in the chat.
yeah, you
Oh,
could.
I'll do that. That's a great idea.
You know, I listened to you, Roy, and I decided a long time ago I was done with the track lights. That's too much work, too much wiring, too much pain in the ass. So
So when I fly and I use my track lights, I bring cable, like airplane cable, and it's definitely more challenging. I mean, a pole is very easy because you could just zip tie it to a pole. Um, but with the cable, originally, I mean, I've learned over time, but it's definitely it takes much more time to rig and hang up and but it's very compact. So and you don't always have time to go to a hardware store and get conduit or something.
yeah,
Yep. Okay. I think it's in the chat.
you know, that's what I am. I don't recommend it to everybody to do it,
Yeah.
but that's what I am using though.
Nice. It also depends on the hours. Like if a show goes to 8 o'clock, I feel like I need lighting.
Well, and we did lighting because we knew that the black pro panels would make it so dark.
Right.
You walk into this dark booth, and so I'm pumping out a bunch of lights, and it has really a lot of people, especially on that back wall. People will walk by and they'll just. I think it pops so much more.
Hmm. I've got lights in my cases that I built. They're they're these LED puck lights. So I made I don't know. I happen to have a lot of aluminum from another project. And so it just, nobody even notices them. Look, during the day, in fact, I'd love to have them for the artist market. Just adds a little bit of sparkle to the jewelry. And they're really easy and compact to put out. Like they just slip over the before I put the lid onto the case. It just slips under there and nobody notices it. It's like very innocuous. But it just provides that little bit of sparkle that makes a difference, I think, when selling jewelry. So eventually I've got to come up with something for that's quick for the local show. And I could just run it on the Jackery, which is also pretty easy. But I just have to I just need to build something. And it's been so long that the technology probably has gotten even better.
You know, if it wasn't because I think that I heard that Ryobi is going to change from green to black. If that happens, it might change because right now I'm using the Ryobi lights and they
Yes.
work fine with me. But quite honest with you, the only thing I hate that they are green. That line.
I don't remember where I saw it, Oscar, but I actually saw a recipe where they took their tools apart and then dyed them.
Hmm.
And I forgot there's a certain mixture that they use to dye it.
Because that's the only problem.
Paint won't stick to that stuff.
No,
Right,
yeah,
right.
you have to it's you can do it, but then you have to it's a lot upkeep. And the idea when I bought the lights from Ryobi was that it's easy to hang. You only need to zip tie it or cable tie it.
Hmm.
You put the battery, and the battery with the new lights lasts me the 6 amp battery and low will last me close to 16 hours. Which that would not happen with the old ones. Uh, and you can use power if you want to, but I don't like to see all those cables run into the lights. That's the only drawback about it. But for shows where they give the electricity, I will use the cables, and I figured out what to do at that point.
Okay.
I got tired. I literally built a wiring harness for my booth
Yeah,
You
with
mean
outlets.
a vehicle in which to hide it, essentially? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I did is instead of running, you know, 3 extension cords here and 2 extension cords there, is I have a box and 3 cables that come out of it. Actually,
Hmm.
4. One's my plug into power. One goes up across the middle, one box in the middle and one box in the middle at the front of the booth, and the other 2 go out to the back corners of my booth.
Hmm.
right.
And I have Velcro wire ties that are, that wrap around the wire and stay on the wire. And then I just use that to wrap around the bar. And then the 4 electrical outlets are all waterproof, they're plastic, and they are uh, have a snap on the side, piece of PVC, so that they just literally snap onto my trim line bars.
Hmm.
And
That
then
sounds nice.
each box has 2 outlets in it, and each one of those outlets is switched separately.
Hmm. So
So,
there's
like in the center,
Velcro.
I plug the lights into one and the fan into the other. I can turn both on, one off, both off, whatever.
Those
Yeah,
Velcro ties you have, are those like some of them are just not good quality, so you like yours?
Yeah.
you also can use what is called cable ties. It's like it's a wire, and they're covered with plastic, and those do probably better than that's what I am using instead of the Velcro now.
I
Oh, okay.
use I
And
use a
instead of zip ties though, do you mean
Yeah,
Oscar?
I don't even use zip ties. I cut the amount of zip ties that I use considerably.
Okay, maybe I can get the item from you sometime. I mean, what it is.
The
Yeah,
only place where I use a zip tie regularly that's not just like, oh, this is something all of a sudden I want to hold together,
Mm-hmm.
is I bought some really heavy duty, they're like 24-inch long, releasable zip ties. And I've cut
Mm-hmm.
one down, and that's how I hang the ceiling fan in my booth.
Uh-huh.
Other than that,
Well,
everything else is Velcro or
because
snaps on.
I find that the old style zip ties, you can pull like when I'm hanging cable, airplane cable to hang my lights, I feel like those are the only ones you can get tight enough, you know? So the ones that you use, Oscar, can you get those tight?
yeah. It's by hand, but I just found it. I send you.
Oh, thank
But
you. Thank you.
yeah, they sell it in Home Depot also, but you can get it in Amazon if you want to. But I would suggest to go to Home Depot first.
Well,
The
I've got
wire
a
ties,
hardware.
the Velcro ones that I have,
Hmm.
um, as long as your wire's not too big, they work well going
Hmm.
around a 1 inch trim line pipe. But if you have anything bigger than 1 inch, that trim line pipe, like if you've got a light dome, they're probably not going to be long enough to go around that.
Well, I'm gonna have a rental tent. So at this next show.
Yeah, so you don't know what you're going to have.
Right, right. Which is why I like the cable because I can loop that around and I have these like for the cable I could screw it like to loosen it and make it tighter, but I usually use a zip tie then, whatever pull they have, and pull that really, really tight so the cable is taut, if that makes sense what I'm saying.
Yeah, for
But
something like that, you definitely want to use then the zip ties.
mhm.
I put it in the chat. I will text it to you also, so you can see
Thank
what
you. I appreciate that.
and but that's just
I I just wanted to say I put in my booth shot here and we recently got these LED lights And I know they're pointing down, which is not all the time what we have. We have them um, raised up from the center bar, kind of angled down onto the work. It just it kind of depends what the conditions are outside and everything. But they work really well. But I kind of agree with you, Allison, when you're saying sometimes the spotlights can be too directed
Uh,
instead of a floodlight. So these kind of have that aspect. They're better than the track lighting that we had before.
mhm.
Um, so
But a
they're
45, but that span that Roy was talking about having 45 degrees, that sounds kind of nice. Also,
yeah, yeah.
in a bulb, I mean.
Right. Right. Yeah, I'm saying, but mine, I think were too little.
Mhm,
My track lights were too little.
mhm.
So they were the ones that Flourish was advertising um when I first bought my tent. I think it was like 2014. They had their tent set up and they were advertising this one kind of track lighting, but they were too small of a circumference.
Yeah.
So that's why we just last year went with these. So they seem pretty good, I think. I don't know the name of them or anything.
I double or triple. I will double or triple. I have 12. I can put uh 12 lamp heads in my track lights. I have 2 foot two f- 2 2 foot pieces of track lights that snap over the center bar. Like where yours are, I have 2 2 foot pieces of track light on either side of the bar, and I can
Oh,
put 6 heads on either side.
oh
So for a
wow.
bigger piece, I put 2 or 3 lights on it.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. So we could probably use another set, actually. We could probably use that.
And if you really want, you could put, um, and I don't know what I'm going to do. Like I'm going to use them for a while. I'm still getting the bugs worked out of my new setup. But now I'm using like at least 3, maybe 4, on a piece.
Oh,
Um, but if it gets to be too much, then I'll just make a second set of these. These are like really cheap track lights. I have a piece of 3-inch U channel aluminum that's 2 feet long. The track lights bolt to either side, and inside of it, I have some modified PVC plumbing fittings that just snap onto my light bar. So it just
okay.
snaps on it, and I can slide it, put it wherever I want.
Right, right.
So
And
Court, well, actually, when we were talking about booth shots and how exact, like when I fly, my booth looks good, but there's certain things I just can't bring because, I can only bring so many bags on the way. And Court, the that hanging system where I hang my actual work on PVC boards, the cable is easy because it's all compact. So Court helped me with this. Basically, instead of hanging 2D work, I'm hanging jewelry on printed PVC, but it's a cable mechanism that you would hang 2D artwork. But what I hang the jewelry on, it's kind of big, and so while the jewelry can be transported in a compact way, that's the one thing I was thinking. It would be nice to bring those because I think they
All
look really
right
great
then.
in the booth. Um, but I was trying to think, well, okay, so if it's not the PVC board, and I was going to come up with some modification, um, of something to put. So the other thing is the jewelry is very secure on this PVC board because I've drilled in it and it's held with these like uh U-shaped staples and things like that. So, but there's no way to they can they're the PVC is relatively delicate and it's not compact. So anyway, I probably am not going to use them when I fly.
You couldn't just, they're
You know,
not very thick, are they?
No, they're not thick, but I think like if I put them, so I have a suitcase with all the flat stuff, the plexiglass, but I think they would get crushed and dented and then look lousy once I got there. That would be one issue. Um, I was thinking, is there something alternative I could use? Uh, but what I like about those is they are secure because they hang sort of in the back of the booth, but they're out. They're not. Um, and so, yeah, it's tricky with flying. And then it's kind of like, just one more thing will, I already with all the plexiglass, I take some of the foam out and instead put in, um, like the shelves. I have shelves behind my cases and I use them, my backstop. So I never have to turn my back to people. Like if they want to see something that's not out, I don't have to turn around. And but instead of the shelves that I have, which is like some gator board, I use foam core and it's the shelves sort of fit. There's a place it sits on. So that works fine. And it doesn't matter what those look like, but I use foam core for my shelves because they're super light and um sorry about that. And so, anyway, the point is with the weight, I'm kind of that's an issue too. So it's not like I could just add more things to it. But yeah, I was originally thinking about using what I have, but I think those will become those PVC boards that I've printed on and everything. I think they would get too damaged, unless I was carrying them on the plane myself. So I was trying to think of something else I can use for, they're only an eighth of an inch thick. So
You couldn't
they're not
sandwich
very
them
thick.
between your plexiglass somewhere?
Um, well, they have these U-shaped nubs on them to hold the jewelry, so that's sticking out.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
A thin
But
sheet of styrofoam on top of it.
right, but then I wouldn't have enough room. Um,
Then you start adding a I forgot you had the pieces on there to hold your jewelry. Yeah, that makes a big difference because that like doubles or triples the thickness.
right. And yeah, it's j because like if they were flat, it would be easier. But I was just trying to think of something alternative that I can use. Um, Again, because the cable is like nothing. I mean, it's very small and durable and compact. I just think when I got there, they'd look horrible by the time I got there. The
Yeah,
way,
I was wondering what the whole deal was, but then I forgot that you had that stuff that stuck out from the surface. And yeah, that will look ugly in a hurry.
so got a question for you guys. What you say when the a person walk into your booth for the first time?
Get out.
who the hell are you? No,
Don't come
I
back until you're ready to buy.
Okay, I will tell you something. I used to say, just as a matter of course, to be friendly, like Americans are friendly. I only say that because sometimes we're overly friendly. And, just with strangers, I think sometimes there should be a little bit of like formality with strangers. So I would always say, "Hi, how are you?" And I think that's inappropriate. I just don't think you should be
why?
asking them. Well, I don't think you should be asking them how they are. People get
Yeah,
tired,
yeah,
answering that question, "Oh, fine, how are you?" or whatever. It's just
yeah.
I think it's meaningless and kind of, I don't know, offensive, but I was realizing it wasn't working. I got enough
Hmm.
hostility in a nonverbal way that I was like, well, I got to change this up. So I just started saying hello, hello, and like in a welcoming tone or something. I didn't make them answer the question of how they were doing. you know? So that seems to work a little bit better, and then they might say, "Oh, how are you?" They might follow that up because they're so nervous of having to say that all the time.
Just ask them who they voted for.
Ugh. Oh yeah, that's a good sales technique. I just did an event on Saturday, and I'll say, and by the way, I notice that if I'm standing and looking out, more people absolutely come in than, of course, if you're sitting down or not looking. But I would say, welcome. I'm Allison. I make all of this work here in Santa Fe, and the materials you're looking at, because nobody knows what they are. So I just tell them right away, oxidized silver and 18 and 22 karat gold. I use all different natural stones. And if you have any questions or if you'd like to see something closer, let me know. Sometimes I'll say hello when they come into the booth. I let them look a little bit. And if I see they're taking their time and they make it to the other case, I have a little demo board and it's something they could touch. Kids can touch it. And I'll show it to them. I'll say, this shows you my process. And I'll take out an actual earring and I'll say, all the jewelry is really light. It starts out flat like this, and I shape it with my hammers. And then they'll pick it up. Sometimes I say, you're welcome to pick this up. Sometimes they don't pick up the earring, but they pick up the demo board, and that's a miscommunication. And it's happened enough that I try to make sure I'm very, very specific. You're welcome to pick up the earring and see how light it is. So I try to engage people and then let them be. And like I feel like on Saturday, the sale I made, I feel like it was because I engaged, and not saying, oh, this is going to be great for you. Look, I'm not doing a sales pitch like that. I'm more engaging with them and having a repartee back and forth. And when they start, if I pull something out and they start putting it up to their ear, I'll automatically get the mirror out and, I'll say, I have alcohol pads if you want to try them on. And because if I don't get the mirror out, people will say, no, no, I don't want to try them on. Uh, anyway, so that's generally what I do. Hello, welcome.
I love Welcome, Allison. I come off of over 20 years of retail, um,
Yeah.
working in stores, and I've sold everything from children's wear to art supplies to food to having my own gallery where it was, rugs, furniture, art, mainly art.
Uh-huh.
And it was it's really interesting to see the difference between people that have and I'm not trying to judge here. I'm just trying to
Hmm.
bracket, these are like brackets that I've noticed that
Hmm.
oftentimes the people that come in really looking to buy, they they want to share with you what they're looking for. So
Uh-huh.
I will oftentimes say, what's your favorite piece? Or have you found anything interesting at the show?
Hmm.
And, is there you could say, is there a jewelry piece here that would coordinate with your favorite, wardrobe or your favorite things to wear? I'm kind of
Hmm.
winging this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
anytime I try to get them to, give me an essence of would that look good on your wall? If they tell me what their favorite piece is, that's my favorite question because they love to
Hmm.
tell me what's their favorite piece in my booth. And
Oh, that's good.
I will say, is there any place in your home that would look, that would really look great? And then
Hmm.
they'll start talking to me. And sometimes I end up selling a commission. Like they'll start
Yeah.
telling me, well, I could do that, but it's a little too small for my space. I got to have something bigger. And I'll be like, yeah, you know what? I can make that bigger and I can mail it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I like that.
I've had a lot of commission sales of huge pieces
Hmm.
because I often don't bring anything bigger than 40 by 40 to the show, but
Right.
they might want something for a huge wall.
Yeah.
So getting them to talk about what they're looking for, that I guess that
Hmm.
would be my only add to what you said.
Yeah. So basically make it about them, not about you.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
And you get a lot of information. I
Mhm.
like I like finding out why somebody didn't buy as much as why somebody wants to buy.
Uh-huh.
To me, both those points are important, you know,
Right.
because
I
whenever this is my fourth time showing in Houston at the end of the month,
mhm.
and okay, you guys are going to really laugh at this one. I just did a new piece. It's absolutely huge. And I took a picture of it and I asked ChatGPT, what should I price this piece at? It's 40 by 40. I told ChatGPT I was going to this Bayou City Arts Festival, and ChatGPT gave me a detailed response of what I should price it with, how I should price it, and why that pricing is specific to that piece. And
Mhm.
I was like, all this logic, and I'm not going to go into all of it, but all that logic is something you can use to sell the piece.
Ah,
You know, why you have it priced. But a big part of Chat GPT's argument was the three brackets of buyers at that
uh-huh.
show. At that show,
Ah,
typically you have these three brackets of buyers. You have the entry level, you have the mid level, and you have the upper level. But it broke it down to specifics, like why each part of those groups, you should have something in your booth that appeals to each part of those groups. I don't know.
that's
I thought it was
interesting.
really cool.
That's
Yeah.
What
very interesting.
what price
Mhm.
she it told she he told you she told you I don't know the it, let's call it it, what
At the,
it
yeah,
Thank
I
told you
know.
for what
thank you.
pricing
Thank
is.
you. It.
It's an it. Well, it it came out, it said, I would price this piece at Bayou City for 3,200 to 3,600. And I was going to price it at 2,200. So now I'm kind of thinking maybe I should price it at like 2,800. Here's the piece. I don't know if you guys can even see it. It's
Yeah.
40 by 40 and it
How big is the piece?
40 by 40 inches and it
I got to
has ceramics like on it. So it's 3D. It's 3D, 40 by 40. I don't
I'm
know.
going to tell you I'm going to tell you the same thing that I told the girl next to me at the show. A painting that
Yeah.
big should be it should not be less than $5,000.
Exactly.
Okay. That's what
Yep.
somebody else told me. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you what happened in that show that I did in Lakewood Ranch. The husband has been telling her for months to raise her prices that they are too low, ridiculous, too low. The person came to the booth. She had a market 40, I think it's 48 by 60. It's a detailed, realistic work. It's really time consuming painting and to make. And she was asking only $3,000 for it. A person came around and offered her only $1,500 for the piece.
Wow. Well, I don't know if you can see this either. I could put this in the chat, but Chat GPT breaks it up into those three types of pieces. So a small piece, a mid-sized piece, and a statement piece.
So
And
the
they
40 by
said,
60 is a statement piece. I would price it at the high,
and they
high
say that
end, to be
the
honest.
statement piece could go up to 6,000. So you're kind of right. Like they're saying anywhere from 25 to 6,000 on the big ones.
I'm going to tell you my 40 by 60 metal print, and most photographers sell 40 by 60 for $3,000 average.
Okay.
So
And that's a print.
And that's a print. Okay.
so you cannot. I'm not saying because it makes my work look expensive. It's just that I don't think that you guys are valuing your work and time for what it is. And I can basically, and that's why you guys get pissed off for us because we pricing the stuff the right way, but you guys don't price it out the right way.
No, and I think that can keep you out of some shows if they're looking at, let's say I'm on the jury and I see all this work and then all the big ones are at 4 or 5,000 and then I see this person who's pricing at 2,200. They don't want to piss off 50 of the artists that are saying you're priced too low, right? Or is
It's
that
also
not a thing?
no, it depends on the style because it's if it's an abstract painting, then to be honest with you, it, it might take 1/10 of the time of a realistic painting, or maybe less. You can price that a little bit lower, but still goes to the same point. You cannot be charging less than a photographer. The photographer should be the
Okay.
bottom line and do the artwork. It should not
And this
be
is why I came on this group because I have no idea. I think you're right. I think I'm going to have to push my prices because the last time I went to Houston, I sold all big pieces, big wall, big vases, everything big in my booth sold. So that tells me maybe they were a little bit too priced too cheaply, right?
yeah. And a friend of mine does ceramic, Adam Igonov, and he raised the prices until he can manage to keep up with the demand. When it
Yeah.
starts slowing down, then he lowers the prices a little bit. But he got to the sweet spot that this is how much work I can produce in a year. This is how fast I can sell in them, and I can keep up.
Okay.
But that's what you want to do. But paint, I'm sorry, uh, it
Wall
should
art, you
not.
got to go
That's
higher. Mhm.
yeah, and because that's what I got another friend. She was she gets she gets angry with other painters, and she does 3D mixed media, and she gets angry with them because they don't price the thing well, or she say, "Oh, I don't know why people think that $5,000-6,000 is a good show." And I look at her, yeah, but they are selling pieces for $2,000-3,000. You selling pieces for $5,000 to $10,000. That makes a big difference. So that could $5,000, you only saw one piece to the whole weekend, and that will be a bad show. So that's
Right.
other thing to consider. But it's also the scale, and the subject matter. But it's you know, I I just give you suggestions, and it's up to you to decide what to do. It's like I can bring the horse to the water, but I cannot force the horse to drink it.
Well, the nice thing about this show, Oscar, and like I said, I'm just getting back into it, but the very next month, in fact, it's like 3.5 weeks later, I'm going up to Dallas and I'm gonna, whatever I have left from this show, I'll be able to sell in Dallas. And I could even adjust the prices if I don't put it on the website. So, I mean, I could try it higher. If it doesn't sell, I can always lower it in Dallas, but
And also, it can happen that somebody said that you placed a painting for $6,000, and the person might come and say, "Will you take $5,000?"
I
You can,
see. Then you
it,
just decide if you're going to take less. Yeah, I get it.
but if you start low, But that's been my pet peeve with most of the
Yeah.
artists painters on here. Because
And one thing I found out by having the gallery here in Austin that sometimes the most expensive piece, when you feature it and you don't put stuff on the wall beside it, you just feature it and you light it well, there's certain people that that's all they gravitate to. Like they just, whatever the biggest piece, like I had this great big piece, 48 by 48, put it right inside the door. Everybody walked in, saw this big piece, nothing else on the wall. And I could have sold that 3 times in a week. In fact, when I had two guys come in that were looking at it for their dining room. And I said, I'll tell you what, I've already had two couples that are gone home and trying to make a decision if it'll fit. I said, if you really want this piece, you might want to, put a deposit down or something. And that's all it took. And they bought it immediately,
that's great.
because they were just like, hey, if people are considering this and you only have one,
You can
then,
only
and
sell it once.
right. And see,
Yeah.
that's the other point. Everything I make
Mhm.
is only a one.
Yep.
Every single thing I sell is original. I don't have any prints. So I think to your point, I think I needed schooling. Thanks for that.
Excuse me, I need to go. Thank you for an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. You too, Allison.
Have a
Bye,
good one,
Allison.
Allison.
Like, for
Okay,
example,
about the pricing, I have a question. Um, about saying, okay, this is 6,000, but I'll take 5,000. How often do you do that? To what extent do you do that? Where do you draw the line? When do you draw the line? When do you get offended?
It's a
When do you
feeling.
not take offense?
It's
I
a
really have difficulty with that.
it's a
I would say,
feeling you have whether or not, first of all, whether or not you want them to buy it at a lower price.
Right, right. Well, obviously, I want them to buy it
Well,
first
but,
and
but you
foremost.
have to have a good feeling about the whole situation.
Right, right. And I don't want, like Oscar is saying, I don't want my work to not only be undervalued, but to feel like my work is undervalued to me or is not being valued for what it is.
Well,
And
what you
that,
have to do is
what?
you have to sit down and think about it.
Right,
And if you want to build in room to negotiate on price, if you think that's an important selling point, then you have to know ahead of time. Okay, I have X number of dollars or X% of wiggle room built into this print.
right,
You have
right,
to know that ahead of time.
right.
You can't do this stuff on the fly.
Right. Well, I've done that. I've kind of done that already, but I think I'm too eager to bargain. I think I too readily bargain, and it bothers me that I do
Then
that.
don't bargain.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
had
Don't do it.
the same problem that I do because I always say everything on Saturday. I tell people in the first 2 hours, everything is open to discussion. But I should not be saying that. I should let the person. The right approach should be let the person decide if they can afford it or not. You don't know how much money that person has, and the way that you have to approach it is that everybody can afford your work or something in your booth. I and what I talk in Lakewood Ranch, it was slow, but we talk about a lot of artists were talking about the lowest discount that they would do. The cutoff 25%, nothing lower than that. And you have to have that in mind. You have to price it up ahead of time for people that of course say, but 50% is an insult, 40% is an insult. Hey, 30% is an insult. Even 25% is kind of insult. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
so
I was at a festival and the piece was not expensive. It was like $225. It was small piece. It was not expensive. And it was very, reasonably priced at that. And I literally had a couple and the man came up to me and was like, will you negotiate on the price?" And I was like, okay, I
See,
guess."
I don't like
No,
that.
just tell
I
them
mean,
You
it
no.
know,
comes,
and he literally, I am not joking. He literally said to me, "How low will you go?"
see,
See, you're at
that's
the
when I
wrong
tell him
show.
That's ridiculous.
It
he could hit
was.
the road.
Wrong
Yeah, it
show.
was.
and that's
You
something
don't.
that
That's
I
why I
learned in
usually
the
tell. I
hard way.
mean, because I have higher price pieces now, I'm going to be a little more flexible, but I rarely bargain with anybody. Rarely.
Right. Can I say something too? I was at a gourmet tent that they put up for the pre-market buyers at a show that I did, a different show in Texas. And they had this VIP tent, which a lot of shows do that, that if they buy this extra price ticket to get in, they get rock star parking, they get the VIP tent, it has alcohol and snacks and all this. But I had to go in there to find a lady that had already bought something. And as I'm going in there, I'm looking for this lady. So I'm kind of wandering around. And I hear this one patron tell another patron, "Man, if you go into these booths, you just got to dicker. You just got to ask them, will they go any lower?" He goes, "I got three things today, and I bet I saved myself $1,000." And this guy had so much man jewelry on. I was like, he didn't need that $1,000. He was just doing it for the joy of sport, you know? And
Yeah.
I really think you have to be cautious. And yet, I did a show in San Antonio with some smaller work, the Fiesta show. It's all families down there. So you take your smaller price points. And I had these two kids come in my booth and they loved the work. And the mom said I gave each one of them $100 to spend at the show, right? And these pieces, one of them was actually 175 and the other one I can't remember. She goes, I'm willing to kick in a little bit more, but is there any way I could get two pieces for my kids? And of course I did that one. You see what I mean? Like it's all about the situation.
Yeah, but you know what else that people love and feel that they have to have at all times is a deal, is a
Right.
discount. We're in
But that's
America
not
again.
what we're in the business of. We're not really in
No,
that
but I
business.
mean, they're used to going to discount, to Walmart, and I mean, everything
Okay,
is,
here's the
you
problem,
know,
Janine. I'm going to stop you right there. I'm going to
okay,
stop you right there. You've got
okay.
the wrong people. You're selling to the wrong people.
Exactly.
Okay.
You got the
All
wrong
right.
crowd.
All right. But look at what Deb just said. Look at what she was in the VIP lounge, and this guy was bragging about the deals that he had gotten. So it goes all across the board. I
But
think
It's also depend.
if he really wanted the stuff, he would have bought it anyway,
But
right? If
Mhm.
he,
one thing that you guys are overlooking is it depends, and don't sound in the wrong way, but if you go to an area which is mostly Jewish or people with that kind of mentality, you have to buffer that into your pricing because most of the Jewish people always going to ask you for a discount.
it's a
It's
cultural thing.
it's a
Yeah.
cultural
It
thing,
is.
and it's nothing you cannot be high horse or anything like that. And they will be happy. If you even give it 10% off, that will be more than happy with that.
Now, what I've always
But
done
you
rather than
have to
give
be,
money off on something is I have these $30 prints and I use those to sweeten the deal. I mean, they
That's a
cost me
good
like
point.
less than $5 a piece to do. So,
yeah, it's
I could toss in a couple of those.
That
yeah.
makes sense. That
You
makes
know,
So
it when so we were in New Smyrna Beach, and we never had anybody come up except one person. One person came up in New Smyrna and said, "What kind of deal can I get?" So right out of the gate, and Marianne, I didn't say anything. I let Marianne do the talking, and she said, "Well, what are you interested in?" And he says, "I really like this piece." And she said, "Well, I'll tell you what. Um, I'm willing to give you this piece at this price, but I'll take care of the taxes," which would have saved him maybe $200, $300, something like that. I don't
Like,
know.
was it like 8% or something?
Roughly
Exactly.
10%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And he said, "No, can you do something sweeter or something like that?" I'm just, and Marion said, "That's the best I can give you."
Yeah.
But she was willing to go ahead and take care of the tax. And, he said no. And, but then there are people who come in, and so apparently this guy who is the executive director of the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Center of the Arts, or something like that, he was the one who, when they had the award ceremony, he was the one who was announcing the award winners. So he's one of the directors there. So they came by and they said, would you consider donating a piece of art to, I can't remember what it was, but Marion said sure. So when they came around to collect the art, we gave him and his colleague the piece of art. And Sunday, I think we closed at 4 o'clock. 3:30, him and his wife show up and said, when I walked by this tent, I said, I got to have that. And didn't blink, didn't dicker, paid $4,200 cash on a credit card.
Yeah.
And he was very happy. And there are a lot of people. I think that's the thing is when you price your art at a price point that says this is worth $4,000. This is worth $6,000. I think people see that value. Most people will see the value. There are going to be people like that guy in the VIP tent. It's a game for him. Oh, I want to see. And we've had people come in and say, so is there anything on sale today? And Marianne said to this guy, this was at St. James this past October. Marianne said, oh yeah, I think about 8 booths down the road, they're doing a sale.
Good
He
one.
she just said, but that's the way some folks do. But I think the majority of people will look at your art, will look at your jewelry, will look at the product that you spent hours making and understand, well, this is a $300 pair of earrings. Why is it $300? Because I poured my life into it. That's why. Oh, well, I get that. Okay, I'll take it.
I want to say something before I leave. Crystal,
Yeah.
3 weeks ago, something happened that reminded me so much about you and your personal.
What? Did some guy ask your booth neighbor out?
Yep.
Seriously?
Seriously.
What happened?
Guy is about 60 years old, is hitting on the daughter of the artist, and she's 22 years old.
Oh,
And
that's awkward. Oh man.
and I couldn't run fast enough. Finally, Whitney, she was taking a lunch bathroom break. She finally put an end to that, but it lasts about 25 minutes.
Oh man. Rude and creepy. At least the guy who hit on me when I was with you at that show was age appropriate.
Oh my God. So I was just telling Whitney that sometime in Ann Arbor they gave my phone number to the female artist so if something happens to call me so I can go over there and stop it.
Yeah,
So it was just funny. I just
that is
remember
funny.
that.
I'm glad to know I'm not alone.
No, it's quite honest with you, it happens more often than I want to admit. And I was telling to Whitney that and actually there was another Agatha. She's from Canada, and it was funny because she asked me, I don't know why guys don't to I asked them to they don't want to go out with me or anything like that. And it's not like because the way you ask it is like how you want to go out on a date with them. And the same thing with a guy. A guy would not want to ask you that way. They have to ask it a different way.
Hey,
And she
baby, what are you
finally
doing after the show today?
Yeah, it sounded like you have to be like it was funny. It's just funny, but because I'm
Sorry,
being
guys. Couldn't resist.
because she was saying that uh if you down here in Florida by yourself for 2, 3 months, sometimes during the week you don't talk to anybody. You finally go to the show. You only talk to the people coming to the tent, and then after the show, you want to talk to somebody outside of the booth, or just want to eat a meal with somebody else. And I thought you have to just learn how to ask that without getting offensive. But it was, and a lot of people was getting like it's one thing hearing and another thing seeing it in person. So, but I was it just remind me of you so much. That was all.
I'm glad to know I wasn't the only one that happens to.
It's not. I promise you, you one of the manys. Well, guys, I will see you guys next week. I'm going to take off.
Okay.
gotta
Thank
go
you.
too.
Bye.
I will too.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you, Larry.
I guess
Thank you,
that's
Larry.
it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Larry.
Everybody have a good week.
Well, I guess it's time to feed Elvis.
Yes, it is.
Okay,
Right.
see you
Bye.
next time. Bye.